Welcome to Stone Hands. Today's video is on a topic that I actually do not want to touch, but my inner voice, my inner guidance is telling, just do it. The conflict between Ukraine and Russia has got deep roots, and sometimes we trap our deeds, our actions into the land, and it echoes for many hundreds of or thousands of years in the bones of our descendants. The people who have lived on the lands of vast plains of Ukraine have participated in many wars over many centuries, and it has left its mark to the land. And I'm sharing this information through a karmic viewpoint. What I have seen through my mind's eye and what I have experienced in my body. This information. The current conflict is the expression of the energies trapped over there. It's a release of pain that has descended many hundreds of years on that land, and now someone is expressing it, sadly in a painful way. The tension gathers when people are living in a modern way in the cities, disconnected from the nature. On the vast plains of Ukraine, there have been found many beautiful treasures from the Scythians, people who used to live there, the horse lords, the masters of horse. Golden helmets, golden figures, and many more pieces of art. During the reign of Tsar in Russia, many officers, they started finding treasures from those burial mounds of Scythians and started bringing the treasures back to the Tsar, and Tsar became really curious about those findings and started giving money to explorers, to aventurists who went and started digging out those mounds and finding beautiful treasures. But by making those archaeological finds and digging out treasures, people also started investigating the history. And Herodotus has mentioned, the ancient Greek historian, that Scythians had a similar god to Greeks, similar to Ares. And they made human sacrifices to their god, usually wartime prisoners from conquered tribes and peoples. And they had this tradition of scalping their enemies, removing the skin from the skull. But they also sacrificed the wives of their enemies, etc. And sometimes they even made mass sacrifices. And sacrificing another human is a huge karmic imprint that will last on the land for many centuries. And when it has been done en masse, then it creates an imprint that will be delivered to your descendants. It has happened many times in the history of humankind, like the Vikings, the Aztecs, etc. They sacrificed people on purposes of pleasing their reptile gods. And this has always brought in the demise of a certain civilization, like the Aztecs were totally destroyed by the Spaniards, by the conquistadores. And the ones that were imprisoned, they were taken as slaves in the gold mines, and for torture their noses were cut off. So it's not beautiful, the past, I mean, and the human experience. But coming back to Ukraine, then they created the Rus kingdoms, as the Vikings from the north came south, the Varanians, the Varangs, and Vara means a treasure in our Finnic languages. So many Vikings were Finno-Ugric Vikings called vikerlased, and they created the kingdom of Rus. But kingdom of Rus was created through blood and honor, by killing other people once again. And by killing people and slaying and reproducing yourself with the slaves. It also created karmic imprints. And after that came the Mongolians, and during that time something really fascinating happened, that the Mongols and Tatars who came to the lands of Ukraine, they started having raids to the north. Also the ones from the Novgorod and so on started robbing and taking as slaves the children and the men and women from the north who had the complexity of blue eyes and blonde hair like I do. And they were taken to the Crimea, to the great slave markets, and they were sold as slaves, and sometimes some really awful and evil deeds were made or committed upon those slaves. And many of those slaves ended up as servants for the sultans in the Islamic world. That's another fascinating piece of history. But all that migration, the slave trade and human sacrifices have left a great scar upon the lands of Ukraine. And around 1000 years ago, during the foundation of Kiev and Rus, some kind of a massacre happened, that some people were totally annihilated, exterminated from the earth. I do not know exactly what was this thing that happened, but this is something that I'm feeling, and that left the greatest karmic imprint and mark on the land of Ukraine that people have constantly re-delivered during lifetimes, creating new conflicts, a new release of tension. My hope is that we are able to solve that energetical pressure that is locked into that land, and we are able to move out from the times of war. Like in the books of Bringing Settlers of Russia, of the Anastasia books, there was a story how children who grew up in the eco-villages, in the homesteads, developed psychic powers that they were able to disarm the whole planet. I hope this happens, because I know people from Ukraine and I know people from Russia and I know people who are living in the eco-villages in both countries. And I really pray that one day we will lose all the borders, all the conflicts and all the weapons in this world, and the time of peace will take over and we will find the global friendship with all the peoples. This is my dream, and I hope you have a similar or actually the same dream, that we will begin a new age of paradise. So this is the information that I have sensed, that I have felt, and I have studied why there is this conflict happening in Ukraine. If you know also some reasons, or you know some solutions for the crisis, then please let me know in the comments. And I hope you enjoyed watching. Let's hope for peace, let's pray for peace, and goodbye. Please subscribe.